I have been reading your book and I've read it over a couple of times, but I really want to talk to you about the book. It's so interesting and it's packed full of information. So I thought these next sessions, we could actually talk about the book and pull some content out. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so let's just start at chapter 1. Okay. And you start with this great little story. And
Okay.
I'm going to read the story so
Okay.
everybody knows what we're talking about.
Sounds good.
And the name of the chapter is Identifying What Makes You Feel Stuck. Then you go into the story.
Mhm.
Once upon a time in Japan, two seasoned monks, Tanzan and Ekido, were traveling together on foot when a heavy rain started to fall. Shortly thereafter, they came to an intersection where they saw a young, beautiful girl in a silk kimono who was unable to cross the muddy road. With no hesitation, Tanzan jumped ahead, lifted her up, and carried her over the mud to the other side of the road. Even though Aikido was in complete shock afterward, he couldn't voice his distaste until late that night when both were resting at the lodging temple. Don't you remember our oath not to go near women? He said irritably. Especially young women like the one we saw today. Why did you do that? Tanzan slowly turned his eyes to Aikido and replied, I left the girl at the intersection. Why are you still carrying her with you? And that's the story. So I'm wondering why you put that at the beginning of the book.
Ah,
And also, I kind of feel like I can really relate to Aikido. First of all, I'm like, oh my God, he is disobeying the vows that he took. But on the other hand, I'm like, but what was Tanzania supposed to do? There's this young woman in the mud, and it's like a humane gesture. So, what is one to do? And I'm judging both of them actually. So, I think it has something to do about this attachment to belief systems and thoughts. What do you
so
think?
why start with that? So what
Right.
is the name? Yeah, what is the name of the book?
The art of becoming unstuck.
Yes. And who is the one who is stuck here?
Well, it's definitely Aikido who's stuck,
Yes.
right?
But
He's stuck.
he's stuck. Where is he stuck?
Well, he's stuck because he couldn't believe that his longtime friend took vows and
Mhm.
they have been inculcated with the belief system. And they really believe that you're not supposed to look at young women.
Yes.
He goes and does it anyway. It doesn't talk about it. He broke the vows and Aikido's shocked. It's like,
Exactly.
what the heck?
Exactly. So then what is Tanzan doing? Is he stuck
No, he
also?
went on. He had already forgotten the incident. He did what he had to do and he moved on.
So what was the state of mind that Tanzan was in?
Well, I think he was in the present,
Exactly.
right? He was in the
Exactly.
present moment,
Exactly.
and that's all that existed for him.
Exactly. He responded to a situation that presented itself in the moment, and he basically responded whatever was required by the situation. So that is freedom, Elizabeth. That is freedom.
But if you promise not to do something, then you do it, then there are rules.
Yes, there are rules. Until when are we going to follow these rules?
Mm-hmm.
When are we going to challenge these rules? Are we going to carry these rules with us and we're going to be boxed in and therefore feeling stuck for the rest of our lives?
That's true. So was he just too rigid, you think?
Rigid? Yeah, start with that. Start with that, following the rules, conformist and rigid, etc. But at the same time, aren't we all like Aikido who follows the rules to the T?
Right. And like Aikido, judging someone else for your own value system, judging someone else without understanding, right? Passing judgment on Tanzan for his actions.
Exactly. We are not only stuck by our own values or value systems of maybe even the society, all these norms. Not that only we are stuck with them, in them, by them, but also we use them as a tool, as a weapon to judge others who are not following those rules, those belief systems, those value sets.
When you say that, it's so interesting because I hear people said, how dare he do that? He's thinking this or that. And already we're mind reading, right? We think
Yeah.
we know why.
We're
And
assuming.
we're assuming, and we
Yeah.
don't take any time to understand other people's value systems, right?
No. We are just trying to defend our value systems because we took an oath. We vowed to them. We actually lived by them. We think that that is the best way living life. So therefore, if somebody doesn't really agree with those value systems and belief systems, then we are just going, okay, you're an outsider. I mean, if we go too far, we even just say, "Hey, you're gonna go to hell. You're a sinner. You're this and that." We just, again, I don't want to go too much into the religion here, but spiritually, when you think about these things, it is really we're projecting, good or bad. We are just pulling ourselves back into the matrix. We're pulling ourselves back into duality. There are people who are following the rules. They might be good people. People who are not following certain norms, they are bad people, including even the colors of their skin, even if their gender, even if the way they dress. Everywhere, Elizabeth, this is where the separation starts. This is where the wars start.
Right. Because I think you have to follow my rules, but who made that rule? Who made that
Yes,
rule? Why do we do that? Why do I think you have to be like me?
that is the question. You asked the question, Elizabeth, because let me answer your first question. Who made those rules? Are made, okay? So most of us, all of us, live unconsciously, based on our subconscious programming. And there are some elderly people back in the tribes, tribe days and all that kind of stuff. So they kind of, hey, I know the way, so here are the rules. And then people, oh, okay, I need this society, I need to belong, so I'm gonna follow the rules. Again, Gen Z, Gen X, these guys are completely excluded from these because, again, new generation is coming out with no rules. Hey, this is me, and I'm following
Mhm,
myself.
mhm.
So some of these rules that we think we are following will change in the near future. So let's not even articulate speculate on those kind of things. So let's go back. So rules were made to
Even
serve a purpose.
right, but
To
even
serve a
growing
purpose.
up, I grew up with a set of rules that I took in and I use as my own,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. As my own. That is beautiful. You took those values. You took those norms of society. You took those others' expectations, all those value sets, and you took them as yours.
Right.
That now let's answer your second question.
Okay.
Right? Why do I judge someone if they are not following my values? Right? Was
Because
that
they're
your second?
unfamiliar. They're unfamiliar, aren't they? They're not
They
I mean, this is the way people should be, in my view, right?
exactly. They
And it's
are
a huge jump to try to understand somebody from their point of view and perspective, even if you don't agree with it,
ex-
especially if you don't agree with them.
exactly. We are one very busy defending our own values because we've been following them. We don't want anybody to challenge them. We don't want anybody to convince us otherwise because hey, you spend your entire life following those rules. If somebody comes up with a more reasonable rule and you're like, oh my god, like now I need to question my whole system of living. my whole conditioning, my whole faith, my whole thing. So all of a sudden, again, you feel, oh, are you going to leave the society? Are you going to leave your community? Are you going to leave your friends? Are you going to leave your parents? So many things are at stake. And isn't that a way of feeling stuck also?
Absolutely, because there are no choices in that world. You have no choices. You follow one path and that's the way it is. And I think we do that just to feel safe, right? It's sort
Exactly.
of a safety thing. This is our world. This is what we know. Let's stay inside it and let's keep criticizing others because that's what we do.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, they did that. Oh, that's so weird. Oh my God. Who does that? And then you get with people have the same values, they're like, oh, who does that? Ah,
Exactly.
you know?
Talk about inclusivity, right? We are all talking about inclusivity these days, but how can we establish, how can we bring inclusivity at work, to workplace, to our societies, to our communities, when we have that judgment inside? We need to process the judgment that we have, because what we are doing is, again, we are just projecting
Hmm.
the fear of the unknown, because I'm familiar with this, I'm going to follow this. Anything that is unknown is a threat to the system that I follow. So this actually, it sounds a little bit religious here, but also it's not about religion. It's not about even spiritual sex. It's about way of living. Career, we can give thousands examples of career. How many people are happy today with their careers?
So
You
many
tell
are
me.
unhappy,
Unhappy.
unhappy. They're
Why?
doing it out of obligation because they have to make money and they have a certain standard of life, and that's what is expected of them.
That standard of life, Elizabeth, just think about it. That standard of life is dictated to them because they are bargaining, basically, or negotiating between fulfillment and following others' expectations, the norms of society. I need to have a car. I need to have a house. When you go to Europe, they don't have that much desire to have a house. People are living in apartment buildings in Europe. They are 40 years old. They're 50 years old. They have very successful careers. But in the States, we have to have a house. It's a sign of success. Again, are we stuck? Yes, we are stuck. One, literally stuck under the mortgage, but beyond that, psychologically, mentally stuck, because now we have to keep going on our career that we didn't really choose. Maybe we didn't even connect with it. We are not fulfilled by it. We keep going at it because now we have a house, because we're following society's expectations. A successful person needs to have a house. Everywhere, Elizabeth, everywhere in life.
But it's so hard to change that because as soon as you back up and start seeing things differently, then you get more judgment from other people. What do you mean you're not going to get a house? What do you mean you're not going to have 10 kids? What do you mean?
Yeah, the people will start saying, well, now I bought this house. Do you have a house? Well, I'm renting. Oh, what? You're renting?
What? You're
What's
wasting
wrong
your
with
money? Yeah.
what's wrong with you? Exactly. Oh, you're giving that rent to the owner. Why don't you put that on a mortgage? Well, maybe I don't know where I'm gonna live, but maybe I'm gonna move to another country. None of those adventurous, out of box thinkers survive this society's pressure of being part of the mold.
Oh, it just wants me to, I feel like breaking the mold right now. Like it
That's
makes
why
me
we're
angry. That's why we're here, right?
that's why we are here. That's why we are here. Because once we understand that we are stuck and we carry these judgments, and every time we judge, there is something inside of us stuck, and that whatever is stuck, that whatever is repressed, that judgment that we are spewing out is a sign of stuckness.
Hmm.
Yeah, sign of stuckness. because we are just labeling because we are afraid of being labeled, and therefore we are conforming with the norms of society, with others' expectations. There you go. That's how it works.
So let me give you an example. What if I
Yeah.
see this guy who I know? He thinks, and this is me judging, okay?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do this
please.
all the time. I try not to. Then
Well,
I patch it up by going, well, let me see. Maybe it's not a lot of confidence the way, but having to have the best things for this and the best clothing and walks around, like Mr. Macho, and his license plate is a certain way. And I'm just like, give me a break. Come on. And like
yeah,
he feels like he's better than everybody. And so I
he's
just go, oh
better.
my God, he looks like he's better than everybody.
He's
He's not.
better.
He's such a jerk.
Yes.
Well,
So
why can't I look at him differently? Or why won't I?
beautiful. I mean, this is what life is about. This is the color of life. This is it. So you are thinking, assuming that he's walking around that, oh, I'm better than everybody, right? I don't like, he thinks that he's better than everybody.
Yeah.
No way, right? So he's thinking that he wants to be upper, higher than everybody. And then when you feel that you are lower than him, you're less than him, because that's what he's triggering you, then you want
Oh,
to be higher than him by putting him down. Oh, look at him. Like, he's not better than anybody. I know what a jerk he is, right?
that's true.
So then you just go and, like, gossip behind, maybe he's
Yeah.
in your neighborhood or in your friend circle. You gossip behind him, and then he gets to learn about you gossiping about him. Then he starts to gossip back at you, and then that Elizabeth,
Right.
like, do. I'm actually surprised that she has a friends, like, that kind of stuff. And then because he will feel that now he's less than you, he needs to put you down.
Oh, right. So it's a continuous, like a one-upping, right?
One-upping.
One-upping. I never
Exactly.
even thought of it that way.
Yeah, one-upping all the time. So what, I'm not trying to defend him here, as you
No.
know,
Yeah.
because he might be putting up that image that, oh, I'm better than everybody, because he might feel deep inside that he is not. Because if he felt that he is really inside of him, if he felt that he's really better than everybody, he would not need to show that off. He might not need the cars and the license plates and the houses and the clothing and the designer clothing and whatever, the vacations and every toy that he has, to show off that he's better than everybody. And I'm obviously
You're so right. So there
cliche.
are two things to do.
Yeah,
Not only try to understand maybe what's going on with him, but really find out what's going on with me instead of focusing on him, right?
that's
Like,
why.
why am I getting triggered by someone who's like this and putting me down? And that brings me to like looking at my past, right? Like, why am I triggered for somebody? Why does that even bother me? Right.
Exactly. Why does it even bother you? Elizabeth, excellent, excellent. Because here's the thing. That's why I was just praising life right before we started talking about it, because I knew we were going to get here. But everybody, everybody talks about in spiritual circles how we need each other and we are just teachers of each other and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what context they are talking about, in what context, in what, in relationship to what. But what I see is that we are dancing, the relationships that we are forming, we are dancing with each other, not to be a teacher, not to teach anybody. It's just reflecting
Mm-hmm.
to back to each other, meaning we are the mirrors. The world is the mirror, the life is a mirror. That's why I was celebrating again in the beginning of this section when we were talking about, oh, why is, because life is so colorful, life is so deep, that everybody reflects our inner world
That's right.
to us. Does that make sense? So
It
exactly like
does.
you're saying, his insecurity shows up as a big image of he's better than everyone. And when you have that insecurity also that you are less than everyone, that triggers you so that you can respond to it defensively to put him down because you feel that now he one upped you. So you need to one up, and then he's going to learn about it. He's going to go up one. He's going to put you down, etc., etc.
Right. Interesting. So really my work is to figure out why I feel reactive.
Exactly. You have
Really?
nothing. You have no work to do with this guy.
That's
But if
right.
if if he becomes the trigger because he's putting up this image, why are you getting triggered is your work.
That's
And
right.
that's why I put this story as a first story, to make everybody have a discussion, something like that, where, wait a second, the other guy, even though he wants to follow the rules, right, turns out to be the one reactive.
Right.
Why is he reacting even though he is happy to follow the rules? That means that maybe inside of himself, Ekido we are talking about, who reacted to Tanzan, maybe inside of himself, he doesn't feel free.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't feel secure. He doesn't feel fulfilled by just following the rules. Maybe he wants to touch the girl. Maybe he wants to have a career, not just finance, medicine or law or whatever, you know. Maybe he wants to get married. Maybe he wants to have kids. Maybe he wants to explore the world. Maybe he has this unfulfilled desire of living life fully, yet he needs to follow the rules. When Tanzan is present and attending someone who is in need, which is morally the correct answer, because he's responding to whatever the situation requires of him, without thinking,
And with
without
no
any
regrets. No
yes, no
regrets,
regrets,
right?
no regrets. Exactly, without boundaries. We're not talking about, by the way, no boundary. It's just without regrets.
So I have a question. What do you think? It's going to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
What do you think Aikido would have responded to Tanzan's question? I left the girl at the intersection. Why are you still carrying her? What do you think Aikido would have said? Or
He would have, well, he would defend himself.
ah,
He's
initially,
initially, he's not self-realized
right.
yet,
That's right.
right?
Right.
Tanzan has done the work, processed all of his blockages, all of his repressed fears, all of his hidden desires. He is integrated.
Aikido is every man, every woman, every person, symbolic of every person alive on this earth, right?
Mhm.
Or most
Yes.
people, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why we can relate to him too,
Exactly.
because he would have been defensive, like I am defensive and reactive, because
Yes.
I haven't realized either.
Because you're still processing.
Work.
Yes. And when you're reacting, do you know now why you're reacting?
Not right now, but I have to think about it, right?
Ex-
I'm at pause, pause and
Yes,
think about it, right? Become aware. That's the
exactly.
first step.
That's the first step. You got it. It's first, let's notice our emotions. And in that same section on page 10, we talk about we naturally react to people.
We do.
We do. That's what you're saying.
Everyone does.
Everyone does.
It's a fascinating. I kind of like Aikido because it reminds me of me, right? Thousand
Everybody.
rules.
The rules. It
Right.
reminds of. He reminds us of everyone.
Right.
We just
We can
follow
all
the
relate
rules
to him.
without even asking, right? But
Yeah.
once we have some kind of hidden desire, unprocessed thoughts, processed fears, then we just carry that into these situations where we become judgmental.
You say it so well here on page 10, Arda. You say in summary, it's part of life to judge and react to others' negative attitudes, bad behaviors, annoying personalities, condescending actions, and critical words. It's part of life.
It's
So
part of
don't
life.
get down on yourself and don't get down on Aikido. Take the time and understand.
Exactly. I don't think we are judging Aikido right now,
No,
nor we are judging the people who judge.
no. Well, I just kind of like was honestly telling you my thoughts, and that's
Yeah,
judging. I know, but I'm curious. I was curious as to why. But now I know.
exactly. Do you think that we can get to that curiosity about our own judgments of others, about our own emotional reactions?
Absolutely. You just have to want to do it, right?
Exactly.
You have to
Exactly.
want to take the time. And honestly, up to now, even though I've looked at myself, I've been more focused on why he would act that way or why she would act that way, as opposed to why am I reacting to that person who's acting that way. So this is very illuminating, actually.
Elizabeth, you're getting glimpses of compassion that is
Yeah.
naturally building inside of you because of your own work on your own blockages, repressed fears, hidden desires. When we don't have that understanding of ourselves, we cannot understand others.
Not at all. Even if you understand their past, if you don't understand yourself, you're not going to understand others. It's so well said.
Yes. In order to understand others, we need to relate to them. If we cannot relate to our own emotional reactions, to our own conditioning, to our own programming, to our own ego, how can we understand others' egos and feel compassion about them?
You can't. It's number one step, understanding self.
Understanding self, getting to know oneself is the purpose of life. And that's why we have these 8 billion people to show us who we are.
Yeah.
They're the mirrors of ourselves.
This is great. This is just one page. Can you imagine? We're going to have to do a podcast for the next 30 years, I think.